Welcome to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
Welcome to the forum here today on 102.9 CHTM. I'm your moderator, Sue O'Brien. My guests in the studio are Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson, the candidates for mayor for the city of Thompson. We've done a coin toss earlier, and the first candidate to share his platform with you, the listeners, is Dennis Fenske. He will have 3 minutes, and then he will be followed by Luke Robinson. After that, we'll go into the question portion of the forum with Luke answering the first question and Dennis next. It will then rotate after that. All right, Dennis, I'll let you get started. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you to Arctic Radio for sponsoring today's Mayor's Debate. My campaign slogan is "It's about leadership," and in my mind, that's exactly what the next 4 years will be about. Being the leader of council has many roles which I feel have shown in the past and will continue to show in the future. It's about leading our community through opportunities that are before us to ensure the sustainability of our city and region for many years to come. I'm committed to this community. I've raised my family here, I've invested here, and I truly believe in this community and all it has to offer. From the leader of council perspective, it's about gaining consensus on issues and not being divisive. Open debate is always welcome, but at the end of the day, decisions have to be made, and that becomes the will of council. It's also about leadership in dealing with other levels of government, our regional neighbours and private business. In many instances, I've been placed or asked to assume the leadership role to deal with an issue. As Chair of Public Safety Committee, promoting the idea of community safety officers and working with the Minister of Justice, staff in the Department of Justice, and the RCMP resulting in legislation that provides a CSO pilot program for Thompson to deal with one aspect of the downtown strategy. Being asked by other mayors to chair the provincial committee on municipal police service contracts for 22 other communities in Manitoba and have contracts with Public Safety Canada and the RCMP. In my last debate, my opponent had asked to deliver on his platform of reducing taxes. Asked specifically for 3 examples of tax reductions. Instead talked about hiring the right people, about his experience on school board negotiating wage freezes, and teachers being happy with that. And yes, promotes being a strong union member. I do not know of any union member who was happy with a wage freeze. I fully support the employees of the City of Thompson. The simple fact of the matter is that if you're going to reduce taxes, you will affect either services or employees. My question would be, which will he reduce to get the tax reductions he's promoting? As the Community Development Officer for the City of Thompson, I was one of the leads in the development of MDS Aerospace, the jet engine test site that has been in construction. Negotiating the sale of land, Boston Pizza, days in the early stages of development of Moak Road. I also worked in the initial framework document that became the Municipal Services Agreement with NCN for the Mystery Lake property, a template to be used on any future developments with our neighbours. As a volunteer in this community, I've been elected as the president of Thompson Golf Club and previously the president of Norman Regional Sport Association. My family and I have strongly supported the Festival of the Arts with the annual Fenske Incentive Awards and Don Fenske Memorial Scholarship. As a leader, I've always been a pragmatic approach to decision making. We have processes in place that ensure transparency, a word that my opponent frequently tosses out to infer there's no transparency in city government. This again comes back to an issue of fact versus fiction. A good example of this is the recent development of the contribution agreements for our controlled entities, groups which we fund. Through the new accounting rules that came into effect for all municipalities and on the recommendation of our auditor, these agreements have been drafted and are in their process of being signed off. I opponed and voted against putting these agreements in place. Where is the support for transparency in that vote? Through the questions we'll receive today, I'm sure we'll touch on a variety of issues ranging from operation of the water treatment plant, the building of wastewater treatment plant, the social issues of downtown, infrastructure, renewal, and of course taxes. I look forward to the questions, and I hope through that discussion you will see the type of leader that I will be as your next mayor. Thank you.
All right, great timing. Thanks very much, Dennis. And now, Luke, we'll let you have your say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue, for the opportunity to be here this morning. And I would like to thank everybody out on the radio listening to what's happening today, and I look forward to your questions. I'm also grateful that my opponent stepped forward, and if elected, that is by my hard work to earn the respect of you, the voting public. This is what this is all about. So first of all, I'm running for mayor because I believe in an honest, responsible, accountable, and transparent municipal government working for you, the taxpayers. I believe you should have a governing body who invests your hard-earned tax dollars as efficiently as humanly possible. Let's make sure that we're always efficient and fiscally responsible. I believe our streets and sidewalks definitely need a facelift as the water mains get replaced, and also, if there's extra, to do more. I believe the transfer of the LGD, which is the local government district of Mystery Lake, should be a logical and wise decision and thought through to the end before agreeing with the province. This is not a process that can be rushed without proper consideration of all parties involved, including Vale, Manitoba Hydro, leaseholders, just to name a few. There are a lot of questions that need answers first. I believe the transfer of the water treatment plant discussions cannot, and I repeat, cannot continue without the province at the table. They are a signatory on the 56 agreement. They need to be there. I believe the province should provide the lion's share and slowly transition the cost of the city over a period of time which is more than a year. Snow clearing in Thompson is an ongoing issue that I want to bring effective solutions to the table and implement. And let me remind the public, those decisions are made by the mayor and council, not by one person. I believe the downtown transient population needs workable solutions that every member of our community can support and live by. I also believe you should always be kept informed about what is happening in municipal government and have adequate time to know and reflect on what might be proposed before it is implemented. Also, I strongly support the idea that every member of council is a voice to view the public and should never be ignored or excluded from any meetings. Last but not least, regarding a casino, any revenues generated would not be sufficient to offset the social issues that would follow. I have been very consistent in my campaign. My message has been strong and consistent all the way. I have not wavered from it, and I stand strongly behind what I say. I am a man of my word, and I always live by it. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions today. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, both of you. Perfect timing. You've got this down pat, I think. All right, well, we're going to start with a question here that came in from one of our listeners just recently, just over the last day. And here she says here, as the chairwoman of Pride North of 55, a born and raised Thompsonite and public sector employee, I would like to know what your position is on the Pride movement in Thompson and other human rights issues experienced in our northern community. Also, how have you demonstrated through your actions your support of the LGBTQ, and that's the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, two-spirit, queer community and other protected human rights in Thompson? And Luke, you get to start with that.
Could you repeat that question, please? I didn't get all of it.
Basically, it's how, what is your position on the Pride movement in Thompson and other human rights issues experienced in our community? And how have you demonstrated through your actions your support of the LGBTQ community?
That is a very good question, Sue. I support all walks of life. I do not discriminate against anybody. Sexual orientation is everybody's personal preference. I do not diss anybody for it. I do not judge anybody for it. I support anybody who has a difference of opinion. That is the bottom line here. And if they come to me and ask for support, I will support them. Thank you.
Thank you. From my position, to start off with, I think that we as a community need to be an open and inclusive community, and I certainly endorse that. I have family members who are members of that community. I fully support them in their lifestyle choices, and fully support anyone else who has any lifestyle choice that they choose. It's a fundamental right of the individual, and I would support any initiatives put forth by the community at large.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next we'll go back to you, Dennis. Our question is, active transportation is getting somewhere under human power. It is the #1 priority in the City of Thompson's Master Parks Plan. What plans do you have for active transportation in our community?
Thank you. This is one of the summer projects that I get most positive comments about in regards to the past that have been created over the last 2 summers. And as a former recreation director, I fully support the Master Parks plan. I look to continue developing the pathways recently completed along the Thompson Drive area in order to provide safe and efficient active transportation around our community, to ensure pathways provide access to all the schools and individual parks within our community, as well as the Millennium Trail. So I look forward to growing the pathway process within our community.
All right, thank you, Dennis. All right, Luke.
Thank you, Sue. I believe in active transportation. I cycle myself. I do it as often as I can when time permits for me. I do it with my family. I do believe that it is important in our community, and we should be looking at more effective ways, which other communities have done through line painting along the roadway, to ensure that cyclists have a safe path along the road, just like they would a vehicle. Right now, to me, that is the most efficient way to do it, until we get the roads cleaned up for all that are using the roads. Because there's nothing worse than a cyclist being on the road and somebody is trying to avoid a pothole and a cyclist at the same time. That creates a danger that we should be addressing, and to make sure that we make both venues safe as possible for everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll have another question here, and then we're going to head into a commercial break. Luke, how would you as mayor go forward with either helping develops, pardon me here, okay, we'll start again, sorry. We still see today in Thompson a lack of accommodations and services for retirees wishing to stay in our city. The only move to initiate housing for seniors has come from the Thompson Lions. How would you as mayor go forward with either helping them develop their senior center and or creating other facilities for elders?
Thank you, Sue. That is a very good question. I am a Lions member myself, so I do support the movement for having seniors housing in our community. And I believe that that is the most important part when it comes to seniors housing, is to ensure that our elders of this community have an opportunity to move into a more affordable housing for themselves, so they can stay with family and enjoy life to the fullest around their family members. Therefore, I fully support this, and I look forward to seeing more seniors housing come up in development.
All right, thank you. And Dennis, we'll let you wrap up before we go into our break.
Thank you. Actually, the City of Thompson provided the first $10,000 in seed money to assist the Lions organization, and also by lobbying the minister responsible for housing. And it's my understanding that an announcement is pending regarding the specific project, so that should be a good news story for the community of Thompson. Other ways the city can assist developers in creating all housing, including seniors, offers incentives such as potentially property tax deferrals or cost of land incentives. And in addition to the Lions, I want to recognize the Kuwaitan Housing Authority and also Mamawitak for creating housing for elders and assisted housing in our community. We have a ways to go, and hopefully we can continue to develop this lack of housing that is a shortfall within our community.
All right, thank you, Dennis. This is the Mayoral Candidates Forum here on 102.9 CHTM. We'll go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
We will return momentarily to the Mayoral Candidates Forum on your radio, 102.9 CHTM. Letting you know about everything going on in your community. This is 102.9 CHTM Around Town.
The Canadian Mental Health Association holds a family support group for friends and family of those experiencing mental illness. The group meets on the third Monday of every month at 43 Fox Bay. And to register, call Rhonda Heskin at 204-677-6056.
If you're interested in having your event mentioned, give us a call at 204-778-7361 for details. It's just another way we're connected to your community. We're your radio station, 102.9 CHTM. For some reason, some people get all bent out of shape when you tell them what to do.
I don't like you.
Not us. We're giving you the chance to be the boss on 102.9 CHTM's Coffee Break.
Cool.
Yep, you get to tell us what to play. And it's really easy, too. Send the 5 songs you want to hear, plus a few extras, to CHTM@arcticradio.ca. Or if you're feeling retro, fax them to 204-778-5252. If we judge it worthy of coffee break status, not only do you get a kickback with your favorite songs, but you'll get a free coffee and breakfast from Robin's Donuts. And if that's not enough, you'll be entered for the weekly prize of 10% off any photo cake and 6 donuts.
Yes, of course!
Send those lists our way and listen for the Robbins Donuts Coffee Break. Weekday mornings at 10 on 102.9 CHTM. Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum here on 102.9 CHTM. We'll go directly to our next question for the candidates. This one will start with you, Dennis. Dennis, the city will be on the hook for a substantial amount of money to cover their share of the new water treatment plant. What do you plan to do to generate those funds?
The first priority is to negotiate a reasonable deal with Vale. And secondly, the additional cost would not come without a provision of fee for service for Vale as well. In other words, they would still become a customer like others for processed water. And in addition to that, there are other additional revenue streams because we would be the provider of water for the whole community. With the expansion of the LGD as well, those properties that are adjacent to the city of Thompson right now potentially could become water customers. So overall, there is a potential for additional revenue streams to assist with the operating costs of the water treatment plant.
All right. And Luke, this question is to you. You say that you would reduce taxes and remove the water meters. If that's the case, where would you get the revenues to build a new water treatment plant?
Okay, so first of all, just for clarification, Sue, the questions you're asking, they're directed to both candidates or one candidate? I would like to answer that question Dennis just answered.
Okay. There was just a version for you if you want. That's fine. You can answer the question. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, my question to this one here, which is about the water treatment plant for Dennis if he was mayor. In 2012, during a city grant in lieu discussion, Dennis was a member of that committee and had to declare conflict of interest at the time. So I would like to know what has changed in the meantime since then that he would still be able to be at the table as mayor today. So that would be my question to that one, because that is, to me, that is very important that the mayor has to be at the table to be able to discuss that.
Okay. And then into regards of your question that was directed to you, as I said, you have said that you would reduce taxes and remove the water meters, and if that's the case, where would you get the revenues to build a new water treatment plant?
Okay, so I'll answer that question also. Thank you very much for that. First of all, reducing taxes. There is efficient ways to operate. Many times we go over budget on certain items, major projects, and we should stay fiscally responsible in making sure that the funds are used properly. And if the budget is under, to use those funds elsewhere or be able to put them in reserve for the following year. That is a great way to reduce taxes. And also, I would like to bring clarification to this question. I have never mentioned anything about removing water meters. What I have mentioned to the public is we need to put a hiatus, meaning we need to put a pause on the water meters because they are not being accurate and some of them don't work at all. Some people have had estimates done on their water bills and then the estimates have kept moving up without an actual reading. So I believe that we have many issues with the water meters right now and they need to be addressed. As for the water treatment plant, I understand that this question should be more towards a new wastewater treatment plant, not the water treatment plant. The water treatment plant is something that needs to be transferred from Vale to the city of Thompson. The wastewater treatment plant is something outside of that the city would have to fund in a tripart with the federal and provincial government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we have another question here. This is from a resident who says, my son and some friends were playing hockey in a parking lot and were scared off by vagrants. The bylaw officers were called and just shooed the vagrants away. What would you suggest be done to protect people, especially kids, from being harassed? Now we'll start with you, Luke.
Thank you, Sue. That is a very good question. The transient population in our community is becoming a problem. We are all aware of that. It's been a problem ongoing for over a decade, if not longer. As long as I've been in Thompson, it's been an issue. We hired bylaw enforcement without giving them the authority to exercise, asking for ID, issuing proper tickets. And bottom line is, and I'll say it right out, the bylaw enforcement system we have right now is a glorified babysitter system. That's all it is. They do not have any authority, no power given by the province to exercise proper jurisdiction in our community. We need to change that. We have a mandate to our CMP members that we have, and we have that ability to mandate a certain amount of officers to take care of those issues where they have jurisdiction to be able to ask for ID and issue violations that they can enforce. That is what we need to do here. When it comes to children are our future. They are the investment of our community. We need to make sure we protect them, and that is how we protect them. Let's put the proper checks and balances in place, and let's raise the bar, raise the standards. Fines should be issued to everyone, no matter who you are, and they should be enforced. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dennis?
Well, I think dealing with the first issue of the question in regards to kids playing on the street and being scared by others, I think you have to have an understanding of the community at large, and in any situation, no matter where you are, if you feel unsafe, first remove yourself from the situation if possible. Call the appropriate authorities to deal with the issue that they can, and that should be done on every instance to protect yourself and remove yourself from an unsafe situation. Secondly, in regards to enforcement and Councillor Robinson's comments about bylaw not working and we don't have the enforcement and we're not going anywhere with it, I'm very proud of being the Public Safety Chair, and over the last 4 years, moving the ball forward on bylaw enforcement. We've moved away from contract enforcement with private business to our own employees that have certain controls in regards to bylaw enforcement. Not exactly what we needed, but we then lobbied the provincial government and the Ministry of Justice. We are the designated pilot project for the Community Safety Officer Program, who will have the authority to impose the various acts and issue whatever tickets they have to. But that's just one part of the downtown strategy. So enforcement is one part of it. We've had a very successful summer with our bylaw enforcement officers this year. I want to commend them. We also had partnerships with the Ambassador Program. We had a great partnership with the RCMP and full support of the RCMP. And I think it's about talking about efficiencies in operations. And bylaw enforcement, and as recently as last Friday, being on a ride-along with Constable Dean Martin, I experienced when RCMP are required and when a bylaw officer could have handled the situation. So moving forward, the CSO program, Community Safety Officer Program, will allow us to use our RCMP forces in a more efficient manner to deal with higher levels of incidents that they need to, and our CSOs will be able to provide and deal with the lesser issues that still have to be dealt with, but they will have the authority through the province and through legislation to enact what we've been working for. And this has been a long process over the last 4 years, which my opponent has not supported at all. Thank you.
All right. The next question, which we'll start with you, Dennis, is reports say over 1,000 non-collectible tickets have been handed out by the bylaw officers. What burden is this to taxpayers, if any?
There's no burden to taxpayers from the residents of Thompson from a property tax perspective. The impact is on the courts. And the message has been sent to the courts that we need to be able to deal with bylaw infractions. There's a heavy backlog in that. So we've been dealing with the province in regards to streamlining those actions so that we can get them through the system quicker. So it's not an impact on the taxpayers of the City of Thompson. It is impacted on the availability of time for the judicial process within the City of Thompson. But I believe honestly, that through the Community Safety Officer Program and with the new legislation that was enacted mainly by Minister Swan of Minister of Justice, that we will be moving the bar forward in regards to being able to issue common offense notices for infractions to our bylaw and behavioral bylaw within the community of Thompson. And at this point, we will have more, I guess, validity to those charges that can be followed through. And I witnessed that again on the ride along on Friday evening. The RCMP officer issued a ticket which will go to court, will go through the process. So hopefully that's what our CSOs will be able to do as well, and the courts will deal with them.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Luke.
Thank you for that question, Sue. Just for clarification, those 1,000 tickets, those are tickets that are not recognized through fine options through the province because they are not valid tickets. That's why they can't be worked off. That's why our bylaw officers this year were not issuing tickets, because it's a paper exercise. That's all this has come to. I know the public, they come to me. Why is it that if I were to consume liquor in public, I get a fine and I would have to pay it? But that gentleman over there, which is consuming before us right now, he can consume all he wants and there is nothing done about it. It's about accountability, it's about checks and balances, it's about ensuring that every member of our community is treated fairly and equally. That's what this is all about. I believe this question is about fairness. It's about who is and who is not being treated different. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're getting set to go to a commercial break, okay, in a couple minutes. So we have another question here. For Luke, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on volunteer organizations using City of Thompson facilities for free? Do you think all groups should have to pay?
Personally, the TRCC is a community center for all members of this community. I believe there are operating costs for that building. Yes, there are. But the bottom line is that taxpayers have paid for that building. That is the bottom line. There are costs attached. Yes, we have to pay wages, we have to pay heat, we have to pay for anything that happens with the building. But that is part of our tax base. Now, I know the government is always trying to download, the provincial government, the federal government is always trying to download onto municipalities, which is the bottom line. We are the bottom. We all pay provincial and federal taxes, and we all pay municipal taxes. There should be some better system out there that says, you know, that everybody pays the same. If we're ever going to pay, everybody pays the same, but it should be a reasonable amount. It shouldn't be priced out of somebody's range of their income that they cannot afford to use the same facility that their neighbor may be able to use. We should all be exactly the same, and it shouldn't be high end. The building's already been paid for. So when it comes to the services of the facility, it should be accessible to everybody. There should be no discrimination. Thank you.
All right, Dennis.
Well, I think I need to clarify a number of points that Councillor Robinson has raised. One, in the issue of taxes, again, he's promoting a lower taxes in our community. And we've just spoken about the operating costs of the TRCC. And if you're offering facilities for free, someone has to pay the bill. And that's the taxpayer. If it's not paid by the user, it's paid by the taxpayer. Because the operating bills come in every month and you still have to that. And just for clarification, the TRCC is not paid for. It's debentured, and we are, the taxpayers of this community, are paying debentures over a number of years to pay off that investment, which I firmly believe is a great investment in this community. Speaking to the question of affordability, we already have in our fee and fine schedule a number of opportunities to provide for either free recreation or low-cost recreation. A fact that my opponent continues to miss, in that we think that we're charging the rates and that everybody, if you don't have the money, you can't play. Well, that's absolutely an untruth. There are a number of processes to go through within our community, within the rec facilities, within the Norplex pool, that you can access as a nonprofit organization at a lower cost for the use of those facilities. So those fee and fine schedules have been in place. They're passed every year by the council of the day. So we do provide low-cost recreation. For example, we provide free bus rides to those using our facilities for youth. We provide free access during the Norplex swim at free public swims. So there are a number of areas where there is low-cost recreation in our community. But at the end of the day, when you give up a revenue, no matter if it's the $1 or $100, the taxpayer picks up whatever you give up. So where are those taxes coming from? It's not in a tax decrease.
All right, thank you. Well, we're getting ready to head into a commercial break. And once we come back, I'll be asking our mayoral candidates some more questions as sent in to us by our listeners. We'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM. Back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
So welcome back to our Mayoral Candidates Forum here on 102.9 CHTM. And if you have any questions for the candidates, you can still email them in to us at chtm@arcticradio.ca. And so now back to the candidates. We'll start with you, Dennis, with this question. What will you do as mayor to improve apprenticeship opportunities for employees of the City of Thompson to create a skilled certified workforce right here from the local talent pool instead of having to hire journey persons from across Canada?
Well, I think the City of Thompson is faced with the same issue that all major employers are in this community in regards to certified tradespeople. Within the City of Thompson, we have a limited number of trade people that we could offer apprenticeships within the bargaining unit. We have a growing apprenticeship program within the community and the region, so our source of potential apprentices is growing as well. So that will allow us to recruit locally from the local talent pool as it grows. But from the city's perspective specifically, as opposed to, for instance, Valet, who's a large employer and has a large number of tradespeople, we have mechanics, we have carpenter, we have a minimal number of that. So to offer apprentice programs, we may be able to do it in one or two areas, but I think the bigger picture is to be able to hire our tradespeople through the apprentice program within the community of Thompson and hiring graduates of that program as opposed to outsourcing that trade requirement. But that's an issue that's faced with anybody that has trades in our community.
All right, thank you very much, Dennis. All right, Luke, how would you respond?
Thank you, Sue. I'm a big advocate. Being a certified Red Seal heavy-duty automotive and truck and coach mechanic myself, I support apprenticeships very strongly. That is how we get skilled trades in our community, and we also get them at a lower cost. There's also funding provided by the government to support these apprenticeship programs. I don't believe we should be trying to take from our local businesses that have apprenticeships. They have spent hard-earned money of their own to train people for themselves. We should be looking at it our own and growing our own workforce of apprenticeships through carpentry, electrical, mechanical, every avenue we can, including ice plant operators. We should be supporting that strongly. We should be also supporting for wastewater and water treatment if it comes to that. We should be doing apprenticeships. This is it's a cornerstone of the industry. That is how we get more and more people involved in trades, and if we can get them locally, we can get the youth to come out and locally do this. If we can't find it within our CBA and it's open to the public, we should be promoting it locally. Thank you very much.
All right. And to our next question, we'll start with you, Luke. Do you feel the City of Thompson is operating at maximum efficiency? By this, do you feel the number of employees is too high or too low to provide services? Question 5.
Okay. To answer your question, in our organization, there's always room for improvement. I definitely believe we have become heavy in the upper management. So I'm going to give an example for our water utility, 22% administration cost is a heavy cost, meaning that's people that are making decisions at the high end of paper and finances, where we are not spending that money on the front lines, putting in the infrastructure in the ground, for example, where it is needed. Any other form of government, including federal, have a cap of 15% administration cost. This is not a reasonable amount, and that is just one item that needs to be looked at. There are many ways we can be more efficient and be more effective. Let's make sure that those dollars are spent in the right places. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dennis?
Well, thanks. First, let me say I believe in our employees, all of our employees. Like you and me, they get up every day and come to work. They do the best they can, and they go home safe at the end of the day. All organizations do not function at 100% efficiency. That being said, I believe a number of employees is adequate for the services we provide at this point. As council, we have to be cognizant of adding programs and services without allocating the proper resources as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And also in relation to the last question, we'll start with you, Dennis. Would you consider bringing in an efficiency expert or experts to confirm this one way or the other?
I'm always a little concerned when you throw out the term expert around, and I think the efficiency experts are our workforce itself. We meet every year with our employees prior to the public meetings on the budget to talk about what we are doing well and what we can do better. We have some great ideas from our employees, and we have made changes as we can. Not only do we look for efficiencies, but we also look at working safely with our Safe Operations Program. We've reduced our lost time incidences greatly due to working more safely, and in the end, that equates to efficient as well. An example of efficiencies over the last 4 years of previous council as well, the change from our garbage pickup delivery system, which used to be a 3-man system, 2 men on the back of a truck, 1 driver. We've moved to a single operator, which is much more efficient, and it's also a lot safer for the day-to-day operations for those employees. So I believe we have to look internally for the efficiencies. They're there. We've had them before. We'll continue to find them. So again, I believe the efficiency experts are our employees.
All right, great. Thanks very much. Luke?
Thank you, Sue. First of all, I'd like to say that I don't believe at this time we need to bring efficiency experts. I do believe that the people on the ground are our best resource to find out solutions to doing things better. But I also believe, being a skilled tradesperson myself, I bring something to the table when it comes to public works, and it comes to snow clearing. I've done that myself. There may be others on this new council that we will have that also bring skills or trades or expertise to the table that we can also find solutions. We are policymakers, but we are also people that bring professions to the table. That is very important. That is an asset. To me, every member of council has something to bring. We should be using those assets to the best of our knowledge and abilities to ensure that we're making the best solid decision for the community at the lowest cost possible. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we have another question here from a listener. It says, my mother-in-law lived in Thompson for 30 years, but needed to leave due to the lack of wheelchair accessibility on our public transit, the state of our sidewalks, and the fact that there is no longer a publicly accessible handy van other than paying for the one wheelchair accessible cab we have in town. She can no longer visit in the winter due to all of these conditions, where she is able to move around quite easily through Regina's transit system where she lives independently. As mayor, what would you do to improve the wheelchair accessibility in town for our current residents and our visitors? Luke.
Thank you, Sue. First of all, that saddens me to see that somebody has had to left our beautiful community to go live somewhere else because we don't have those accessibilities. Now, I know that as new developments happen, we try and encourage developers to ensure that code is met and accessibility is followed for all persons, including people in wheelchairs. That also should reflect for people that are using walkers and people that may be on crutches or people that are physically disabled. We should always make sure that that is taken care of, that the code is met, but we should also encourage businesses that are already in place that when they do upgrades, that they keep that in mind. that we are all taxpayers in this community. We're all consumers of products that are sold in our communities, including housing that is built and retrofitted on a regular basis to make sure that those avenues are covered, to ensure that our constituents can stay in the community with their families and live productive lives as everybody else wants to do. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Luke. All right, Dennis.
Thank you. Having lived that experience for 6 years, and I can totally relate to the question, to the person that asked the question in regards to accessibility. I think over the last number of years, we've improved our accessibility. It's never a complete job. We've worked closely with the People First, Chris at People First, to make sure that when we are doing things, that it meets the codes and the need of accessible persons in our community. We encouraged the taxi business to incorporate handicap accessible cabs within their industry. The Manor has their own Annie van to move their clients around. We did have the Juniper Center used to operate the handy van, which I used in my experience for accessibility. So I think it's an ongoing process that we have to continue to make our community accessible. The pathways, you'll notice that were recently built, have the ramps at the proper elevation. We've had some. We have a building inspector that enforces the building code to ensure that building accessibility is part of the code requirements that are done in new buildings. So it's an ongoing process, and I think from a accessibility perspective as well, specifically in the wintertime, I spoke earlier in regards to snow clearing and ensuring the sidewalks and walkways. But I would also, as Councillor Robinson mentioned, talk to the businesses and get the businesses involved in ensuring that their businesses are accessible. It's their customers that require service. So if you don't have a ramp and you have a customer base, make sure you have a ramp. Make sure the snow is cleared off your front steps so that people can access your building. It's to your benefit to do that. So I would encourage everybody to keep the accessibility in front and center in regards to our community as we grow through this process.
All right, thank you very much. All right, to our next question, and we'll start with you, Dennis. If you became mayor, would you support the continued operation of Thompson Unlimited as the city's economic development arm? Why or why not?
Yes, I would support the continuation of Thompson Unlimited as the economic arm of our community. I believe it's the right model to use in regards to developing the economic opportunities within the community and region. We have had some monetary issues over the last number of years. Just historically, Valet provided a 10-year agreement previous to the last one in regards to funding Thompson Unlimited. Some good work was done there. Examples being, for instance, the Glacier Test Site was finalized and built south of town. Through the new grant in lieu agreement, the funding has been reduced significantly from Valet's perspective, and I think that's one of the realities that we've had to deal with. As this council reallocated those funds, not in the same formula that Valet had proposed, to ensure that Thompson Unlimited could continue. We will have to look for additional funding. And one of the things that we may be able to do is look at the accommodation tax and the breakdown. Right now it's 60% infrastructure, 20% public safety, and 20% affordable housing. We may have to look at that in regards to potential for funding Thompson Unlimited. There are other ways that we can move forward with that, but the basic question is, do I support Thompson Unlimited? Yes, I do, and I see that continuing as our economic development arm.
All right, and Luke.
Thank you, Sue. First of all, I would say maybe for Thompson Unlimited, based on the fact that we're paying more people to do the same work that historically the city used to do. I believe that we should be doing this ourselves, and with the proper funding, which is something that I believe the accommodation tax is raised from tourism. It comes from the hotels. That's people coming to our community, visiting or working here and taking up hotels. That's a 5% tax. That money, I believe, should be reinvested into economic development for our community, because that's where it comes from. We need to promote it. We need to promote more towards it. I don't believe Vallée should have to front that or grunt having to pay for that. That is a community responsibility to make sure that we are growing and expanding our boundaries and expanding our developments. We should be taking care of that. The funding is there. It needs to be directed to the proper places to make sure that it grows for us. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, the Mayoral Candidates Forum will return after this break. We'll be right back.
We will return momentarily to the Mayoral Candidates Forum on your radio, 102.9 CHTM. Hockey. It's the most important word in the Canadian vocabulary, and it's back.
That is a huge deal.
The puck is finally dropped on another NHL season. You've picked your players for this year's hockey draft, and if you have the right on-ice combination, there could be some pretty sweet monthly prizes in it for you. You might even win that incredible grand prize if you're still on top at the end of the season.
Heavens to Betsy, what are the odds?
Our first hockey draft update will be Friday, October 17th. It's all brought to you by
Crazy Pete's Trading Post, Leo's Home Decorating's new location at 137 Hayes Road, All Season Parts, leader in FXR Clothing, Canadian Tire, and the Meridian Hotel Lone Wolf Cafe.
Hockey is back, and so is the annual hockey draft. Only on your radio station, 102.9 CHTM. And now, Interiors by Cheryl, brought to you by Lambert Paint and Carpet Center.
With the help of a decorating professional from Lambert's, update your kitchen and bathroom cabinets quickly and inexpensively with Cloverdale's kitchen and bath acrylic paint. Easy to apply and dries to a durable, stain-resistant, scrubbable finish that lasts. Specially formulated for use on cabinets, furniture, woodwork, trim, and composite substrates. This quality paint has excellent flow and leveling, which results in a melamine-like finish. Lambert's Paint Loyalty Program offers a free gallon of paint for every 4 gallons purchased. 55 Station Road, your living and giving store.
Cheryl Gillespie and Sam Shakura, the mother-daughter force behind Rock House Style, bring you your daily fix of fabulous living, now on Interiors.
There's no doubt about it. Autumn has arrived, bringing with it those cool nights, crisp mornings, fabulous orient hues, and of course, great fall fashion. Let's start dressing our homes for fall from the outside in. Clean out those tired planters and fill them with casual stacks of small pumpkins or gourds. I like the all-white pumpkins.
Inside the home, a pumpkin set on top of a pile of coffee table books, or a few scattered amongst the candlesticks on your dining room table, looks great, as does a big bowl of fresh red apples, right in tune with the season.
Spritz your rooms with a fine mist of cinnamon essential oil. Set out candles with well-paired scents, and add a few cashmere throws to the arms of your most frequented seats. Lay down scatter rugs in front of your nightstands, the kitchen sink, and even the laundry room to keep your feet toasty warm. Another tip for fabulous living.
Connect with Cheryl and Sam online at rockhousestyle.com.
Interiors by Cheryl has been brought to you by Lambert Paint and Carpet Center on 102.9 CHTM.
If something's not doing it for you, you swap it out. At Thompson Ford, you can swap your ride for the vehicle you really want to drive right now. Eligible Costco members receive an additional $1,000 towards most new Ford vehicles. The Ford Swap Your Ride event is on now, and Canadians across the country are swapping their rides for a Ford. Get great rebates on a 2014 Ford F-150 or get as low as 0% APR financing on most new Ford vehicles for up to 72 months. Visit Thompson Ford today to swap your ride. See paper for details.
In this corner, bringing a menu chock full of delicious food and drinks, the Hub. And in this corner, the ultimate display of survival and technique, UFC 179.
The Hub is your UFC headquarters, and on Saturday, October 25th, you can catch UFC 179 on the big screen. Jose Aldo will attempt to defend his featherweight championship from the top contender, Chad Mendes. Will their second career matchup end the same way as the first? Find out on the 25th at the Hub, your UFC headquarters.
The Thompson Gas Bar Co-op cares about what you put in your car. Not all gasoline is created equal, and that's why Co-op is proud to offer you top-tier certified gasoline. Recommended by leading automakers, top-tier gasoline optimizes fuel economy, protects all gasoline engines, improves vehicle performance, and reduces harmful emissions. Choose Thompson Gas Bar Co-op for high-performance gasoline. Top-tier gasoline is engineered to move you. Thompson Gas Bar Co-op. You're at home here. Second Thompson location coming in 2015.
Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum, as you said, with Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson here on 102.9 CHTM. Our next question goes to Luke, and it's this. What kind of support would you offer to support volunteer-based organizations that operate organizations that benefit and promote Thompson? For example, the Thompson Zoological Society and the Heritage North Museum.
Thank you, Sue, for that question. I think the most important part that we could offer is training on grant applications. There are grants out there through the federal and provincial government available to all user groups, nonprofit included, and it's a matter of getting people trained on how to fill out those grants, because the grants are very specific and you have to cross your T's and dot your I's. If that is an avenue that they would be looking at doing, we could possibly help them with that. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. And Dennis?
Thank you. Well, we already fund these agencies and a number of other agencies through the budgetary process, and I don't see that changing. In regards to grant applications, we already offer that service through the Recreation Department to any group that's applying for grants. They can ask for assistance, as well as locally, Sam Antilla through the province of Manitoba. He's been a strong supporter of the grant process, for instance, Community Places in this community for many, many years, and he's another resource that I've accessed both as a volunteer and as an employee of the City of Thompson. So we do have the resources in this community already in regards to grant applications, again through the Rec Department or through the local provincial government office in regards to that. And from the city's perspective, we continue to identify funding for these agencies, and that goes through the budgetary process each year, and I don't see that changing.
All right, thanks very much. Okay, our next question will go to you, Dennis. It says, typically Thompson sees a hazardous waste collection here once a year. Do you see any benefit in increasing this number of collections, or would you prefer to see a permanent site for hazardous waste at the landfill?
Well, I think the hazardous waste collection is market driven. If we require more collections throughout the year or a permanent site at the landfill site, then we should do our due diligence and get to the right decision. I think, like as I said, it's market driven. If there's a hazardous waste excess that isn't being met currently by the once a year, then we should look at more pickups, or if there's a continuous need for that in discussions with the current LGD in regards to the landfill, is it an opportunity, and also with the recycling organization, is there an opportunity to be a little more efficient in offering a hazardous site within the landfill site?
All right, thanks, Dennis. Luke?
Thank you for that question, Sue. First of all, I'd like to say that there are groups out there that, like the Lions Club, for example, will take your batteries and get funding for it down south. They collect them and they raise funds for their group every year. There are different ways of taking care of hazardous waste, and one big one that I see on a regular basis is people have fridges that don't work anymore, and it's an added cost to getting rid of their fridge, which is they have to pay somebody to withdraw the Freon out of the fridge, and then they have to pay a tipping fee at the dump. So personally, I believe that other communities have done this, where the fridges, for example, are dropped off at the dump free of charge. A contractor has a contractor come out and withdraw the Freon out of the fridge, and they sell that R12 and R22 at a very dear price, because it's a commodity that is hard to get nowadays. So it's a very useful way of ensuring that these fridges don't end up somewhere else other than the landfill. So yes, I would promote having more hazardous waste dropped off at the landfill, because there are ways, economical ways, to ensure that they are recycled if possible. So I do support that. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Our next question will start with you, Luke. Oh, sorry, I've just been told we're having to go to a break now, so thank you very much, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes.
We will return momentarily to the Mayoral Candidates Forum on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
If you're wondering if you need a flu vaccine this year, think about this.
You can spread the flu virus even when you don't have symptoms yourself.
Remember, it's not just about you. It's about the people around you. Your grandparents, friends with weakened immune systems, the babies and pregnant moms in your life?
So get vaccinated. Don't spread the flu. Because it's about them, too.
Visit manitoba.ca or call HealthLinks Info Santé to find out more. A message from the Manitoba government.
You have a job to do. Let your tires do theirs. While you look after countless things on your list every day, the kids pay the bills, get to work on time, finish 4 projects and 3 meetings at work, get groceries, make dinner, finish your work report, go to the teacher meeting, tuck the kids in. Twin Motors will look after the job of getting you ready for winter. Toyo Winter Tires. These tires do their job every day and are priced to afford. Toyo Tires from Twin Motors. Let them do their job while you are busy doing yours.
Twin Motors carries any tire you need. Call them about the MPI Winter Tire Program today.
Fall for Cash is back. No, not that kind of fall. Fall as in autumn. With their excellent selection of coffees, soups, sandwiches, and tasty treats, they can warm up even the chilliest days. And now, your coffee cup can win you some fantastic prizes. This year's Fall for Cash includes 350,000 food prizes, 2,000 $10 gift cards, and 100 grand prizes of $1,000. Play Fall for Cash at Robin's Donuts today, either downtown or at the airport. Robin's Donuts, fast, fresh, friendly.
If your attic is like a cavern of unused wonders, you need Swap and Shop. If there's one piece of furniture you need to complete your room, you need Swap and Shop. If you have anything you'd like to buy, sell, or trade, you need Swap and Shop.
Where would you get an idea like that?
It's your chance to tell everyone in Thompson and surrounding areas what you have for sale or what you're looking for. Every weekday morning and afternoon at 10:35 and 2:35, and Saturdays at 10:35. Get your paper and pens ready to write down any items you might need, or call 204-677-8181 during Swap and Shop and tell us what you have for sale.
I give you the treasure trail.
Whoa. You can also get your items in our mailbag by calling our front desk at 204-778-7361, faxing it to 204-778-5252, or by clicking the Swap and Shop link on our website, thompsononline.ca. It's Swap and Shop on your radio station, 102.9 CHTM. Now, Arctic Radio weather on 102.9 CHTM.
We are partly cloudy this morning. We're up at +6 with the wind east-northeast at 4 kilometers an hour. For today, we're going to be seeing the skies clear up as we get towards noon with a high of 14. Tonight, a few clouds with increasing cloudiness near midnight and then a low of +4. Thursday, expecting some rain, but it will be ending in the afternoon. 5 to 10 millimeters falling down with the wind northeast at 30 kilometers an hour, and then the temperature falling to +2 in the afternoon. Friday will be a mix of sun and cloud with a 30% chance of flurries, a high of +2 and a low of -1. Saturday, sunny skies with a high of +2 and a low of -5. Sunday, we'll be seeing periods of snow or rain with a high of +4 and a low of +1. Taking a quick look around the province, Flin Flon and Snow Lake are at +6. The Paw is at +7. Grand Rapids is up at 10. We have Leaf Rapids, Lynn Lake, and Gillam at +3. Churchill is at +1. Swan River, Norway House, and Brandon are at +9. Dauphin is at 13, and Winnipeg is at 11. Back here in Thompson, we are partly cloudy this morning. We're up at +6 with the wind east-northeast at 4 kilometers an hour. You can get your weather details, community events, and more at thompsononline.ca.
Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
All right, we're back to the questions, and we're going to start with you, Luke. Are you in favor of a casino coming to Thompson? Why or why not?
I think my opening remarks were very clear on that. I am definitely not in support of a casino. And just for clarification, it is not a done deal. The province still has to communicate with the City of Thompson on behalf of where they're going to put the casino, because it will affect our community. So just for clarification, it is not a done deal. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And Dennis?
Well, I think I'll just have to re-clarify the clarification. The province of Manitoba does not have to consult with the City of Thompson. The issue of casino, you can argue the merits of a casino, pros and cons, and that's a good debate, and I welcome those debates. The reality of it is, and my opponent doesn't understand this in the sense that the deal is between the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs and the province of Manitoba. They have agreed, the province has agreed to grant a casino license to the AMC and the partnering bands that they may have to provide a casino in the Thompson region. End of story. That's the fact. City of Thompson, the only involvement with this casino proposal would be if AMC and the associated bands would like to access property within the City of Thompson. Then we are at the table in regards to discussions regarding taxes, in regards to development, in regards to development agreements and so forth. The Mystery Lake lands owned by the Nelson House Band, NCN, have a municipal service agreements in place at this time. They've applied for urban reserve status and are in the final stage of receiving that status from the federal government. Within that agreement, that municipal services agreement, which I was part of drafting, is a specific clause that a casino will not be built on that property. Let me repeat, will not be built on that property. So the options for AMC and the associated bands are to either access other properties within the community of Thompson or in the LGD or traditional lands of NCN. So from my perspective, whether you're in favor of a casino or not, I want, as the City of Thompson, to be at the table to discuss any effects that it will have on us, whether it's a development agreement, whether it's taxes, whether it's jobs. But let me say clearly, the City of Thompson needs to be at the discussion because the deal is between AMC, the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, and the Province of Manitoba. Unlike my opponent stated, the province does not have to come to the City of Thompson at all. It would be AMC approaching us if they want land within the City of Thompson.
All right, thank you very much. All right, and Dennis, for our next question, what is your plan for housing so that we can accommodate everyone in Thompson regardless of income levels? Low-income earners still struggle to find affordable housing.
Well, I think my voting record is pretty spot on in this regards, in regards to development. My plan is to continue supporting developers such as the Kuwaitan Housing Authority, A&B Builders, Landers Construction, Mamuituk, that have over the years built and are currently building housing in our community, as well as TNRC through the Our Home Kikinau project. So I will fully support the development of housing in this community, housing at all ranges, whether it's for seniors, whether it's for assisted living, whether it's for supportive housing. We do have a housing shortage in our community. So as mayor of this community and leading council, I will ensure that we move forward in assisting in any way we can to ensure that that housing is available, whether it's lobbying the provincial government for additional funding, or whether it's working with the current developers in identifying land. So I will fully support additional housing within our community.
All right, great. Thanks very much. And Luke.
Thank you, Sue, for that question. I do support low-income housing. I've always made sure that when a variance is in place, that we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's, making sure that everybody involved is taken care of. So that doesn't mean that if I voted against a variance that I do not support low-income housing. I do support low-income housing. I support seniors housing. It's very important that we are very clear that housing is a federal and provincial responsibility. We have municipal responsibility. Roads and streets, sidewalks, services through the TRC recreational. We have our responsibilities, so we are also making sure that we cover those bases. So just to make sure everybody's clear, I'm not against low-income housing. I support it. We all need a place to live. We, as mayor and council, have to ensure that we are doing it properly, and we help along the way to ensure that everybody has been taken care of. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, our next question, we'll start with you, Luke. As mayor, what would you do to make sure that Thompson got its fair share of provincial and federal funding?
Well, Sue, that is a very good question. To me, it's about per capita funding is how we get grant from federal and provincial governments. The census has to be the most important part of how we get that per capita funding. The census also identifies social insurance numbers. The federal government knows where a person lives. So why aren't they also using that as a checks and balance in their census to make sure that people claim where they are? A lot of people don't understand how that works. Out of either fear that their community will not get funding, or out of fear that they may get taxed more, or because they live in a different address. That is got to be the most important part when it comes to per capita funding, that people understand where your roots are, where you hang your hat is where that funding for per capita needs to go to take care of everything around you. That's got to be the key to getting the proper funding to our community. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. And Dennis.
Well, I think in regards to the fair share of provincial and federal funding, some of it is tied to per capita, and definitely we need to ensure that the numbers being put forward as population are accurate. We went through a process where we didn't feel the last census reflected our numbers, and we did an exercise that gained us some numbers and got us to 13,123 people. There's more work to be done on that, but I think the other aspect of that is you have to be at the table, at the provincial and federal tables, to make sure that Thompson is visible. We've done a really good job. I want to commend Erin Hogan, Councillor Erin Hogan, for her work at FCM in regards to being at the table, making Thompson visible, and promoting Thompson as a viable community. And through those connections, we've been able to access federal money. Our Mayor, Tim Johnson, has been a strong lobbyist for our community at various provincial ministers' tables in regards to ensure housing and other programs for us. So I think it's really important that the Mayor and Council take an active role in becoming visible at the federal and provincial level, and so that you have to put your name forward. You have to be into that stream of information so that you can access additional dollars. There was a meeting recently in Flin Flon that Councillor Robinson attended along with our city manager and our mayor, where just by a sure conversation with another minister, we were able to access additional funding available from the province of Manitoba that we wouldn't have had otherwise had we not had that conversation. So I think it's really important that moving forward, the council continues to be at the provincial table and the federal level table at various committees. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next question, we'll start with you, Dennis. It says, do you feel the cold weather policy is something the city should make more accessible? By that, decreasing the temperature so people can use the skating rink buildings when it's not as cold as -35.
Thank you, and we've all experienced the last winter, and personally, I would like to see us go to the -30 benchmark for a longer period of time. That would impact, but on saying that would impact the resources and funding of the program. So not we, but the agencies that we work with would have to find additional funding if we're lengthening the time frame or lowering the temperature. But I want to make sure that people know that when this cold weather policy came to the table of this council, there was a definite split in council, and I have no qualms in saying what side of the fence I was on and being a strong advocate for the cold weather policy at that time, and I continue to be an advocate for that. So that will be my position going forward, and I hope that council will continue in the same direction.
All right, and Luke.
Thank you, Sue, for that question. To me, it's simple. We need to eliminate the problem by curbing it at the root. To me, it's a very simple solution. Cold weather policies are good to have in the emergency cases that there are people out there. But why are they out there all day and this policy takes effect only after a certain time of the day? It's not throughout the day, it's at a certain time in the day. My opponent spoke about funding of other groups that are doing this. Well, I can appreciate that, but what are we doing to ensure that those people are not outside all day waiting for this timeline to come into effect so that they can actually go into the skating rink and warm up through the night? To me, it's simple. We need to stop it where it starts. Accountability. There needs to be checks and balances. We had a very fruitful exercise 3 winters ago where the shelter ran out of funds and they had to close it 12 hours a day. Guess what? I did a study of my own. There were no people outside for those 12 hours. They were not huddling in the malls. They were not in the RCMP building, and they were certainly not at the hospital. Where were they? They went home. They found a door to knock on and stay warm all day. That's what this is about. Let's make sure that those people are taken care of. Let's take care of our neighbors. Open your door. Put your hand up. I want to help. I want to do my part. I, for one, my home is never empty. Our nest, my wife and I's nest, is never empty. There is always somebody staying with us. That's how we do it as a community. Let's help each other out. Let's curb this. Let's not wait for them outside and get cold and freeze. Let's take care of it now. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Well, we're going to take a quick break here from the Mayoral Candidates Forum, and we'll be back in just a moment.
We will return momentarily to the Mayoral Candidates Forum on your radio, 102.9 CHTM. Letting you know about everything going on. Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
All right, we're back to our Mayor's Candidates Forum, and we have more questions waiting here for them. All right, okay, so we're going to start with Luke. A lot of outlying communities in the north use a 3 strikes and you're out policy on offenses for bad or illegal behavior. What are your thoughts on implementing that policy in the city of Thompson?
Thank you, Sue. That is a very good question. So to whom asked this question, first, that would be a great idea if it was actually legal to do. Everyone in this country has a right to be somewhere. We cannot shun or expel anybody from any community for any reason. Court orders are the only way that is a legal avenue that any community can follow. So, and the next question would be is, out to where? Push him off to somebody else? I don't believe that's the right way to do it. I believe we should deal with the issue. It's an issue, deal with it. Don't pass it on to somebody else. Don't pass the buck to somebody else. It'll be somebody else's problem. And you know, the bottom line is, we all got to be somewhere. Thank you.
Okay, Dennis.
Thank you. I'll agree with Councillor Robinson on the one hand, and it comes down to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, mobility rights. And yes, you can't say that you can't live here, you can't stay here. Every citizen in Canada has the right to enter and remain and leave Canada. Every citizen has the right, or has the status as a permanent resident of Canada, has the right to reside wherever they want. But on the same hand, he's continually advocated sending people back home. And so I really have to question, on the one hand, he's spouting the Charter of Rights, but on the other hand, he's sending people back home to where they came from. There's a dichotomy here that he's saying one thing in regards to Charter of Rights and protecting people's rights, but on the other hand, we want to send these people home because they're not welcome in our community. That's the message that we've continually heard over these debates, is that we have to send people home. We have to get them home to their community, whether they want to go or not, but we want to get them home, out of our community. That's the message that's been sent.
All right. Okay, thanks very much. Our next question will start with you, Dennis. Do you support development north of the Miles Hart Bridge? What kind of development would you like to see, and how soon would you like to see it?
I've always been a proponent of development north of the river, but I would condition that with controlled development in the sense of we have to need to see a big picture and put the bigger pieces of the puzzle together in order to make an efficient development proposal for that to work. An example being that in the near future, the Thompson Regional Airport Authority will be looking at a new terminal, a major expansion of the airport. That can be part of the puzzle in development north of the river. Through the Tedwick process, there was identification of the restorative justice facility, and the location for that facility was north of the river. So there is potential for that. Looking at, and again, going back to the casino development, if in the site selection, AMC is looking at sites. One of the sites that may be potentially there is the Thompson Golf Club. It's a good fit, but again, it talks about development north of the river. So you need to have a large picture focus on that. We have existing developments there. For example, McCready Campground as one of many, Popeyes and many others in regards to lodges and floatplane bases. So development there can happen. It has to be controlled development. We have had proposals in regards to large lot development for residential areas. The issue will be water again for water services. So that's a discussion that we should have with the larger players. For instance, the Thompson Regional Airport Authority. They will need water. Do we build an extension of our facility? Do they build a facility? Those discussions have to take place. But to answer the simple question, yes, I'm in favor of looking at development and growing our economy north of the river.
All right, thanks. And Luke, would you like to see development, and if so, what kind?
Thank you, Sue. That is a very good question, and I support wholeheartedly development on the north side of the river, including estate lots would be great. But you know what? Every community has waterfront properties. They use it to their advantage. It's prime real estate. Here we are, so almost surrounded by a river, and there's no waterfront property except McCready Park. Like, really? We need to expand on that. We need to make sure that we are promoting our community as waterfront property. We need to be promoting more on the other side, and if it means that we should develop it to the point where it can be just as large on that side as it is on this side. We need to ensure that we have housing, we have facilities that for recreation if need be. Let's think big. Let's think beyond those trees that are sitting there. Let's make sure that we're thinking big and large. And we want to diversify our community. We want to grow our community. We want to grow our tax base. And the more tax base you have, the better chance that you can actually lower your taxes so your costs aren't so great. That's what it's all about. So let's promote it. Yes, I'm 100% behind it. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. All right, we'll start with you, Luke, for this question. There have been many complaints about the changes to the speed limits in school zones. Do you agree with the 24/7, 365-day-a-year enforcement of the speed limit of 30 kilometers an hour? Or would you be in favor of altering the enforcement similar to that of Winnipeg, where it's just Monday to Friday throughout the school year?
Well, Sue, that is again another good question. I actually made an amendment. I proposed an amendment to this bylaw when it came into effect, and it was shot down. And you know what? For all intents and purposes, I voted in favor, even though my amendment didn't go through, I voted in favor of the speed limit to be as it was. That being said, I wasn't going to vote against something and turn it down for safety's sake. So yes, I do support the fact that we need to change it. We need to make modifications that are suitable to the public, because my biggest concern right now is people are more concerned of watching their speedometers than watching the road. That has got to be the most dangerous way to operate a vehicle, because now, even though you're in a school, I didn't even say that though, you're in a school zone. There are children around. You should be focused on the road. So yes, I do agree. We need to make those changes. Winnipeg has thought it through and has made those changes to ensure that everybody is taken care of. Let's make it safe. Let's make sure that people's eyes are on the road. That's got to be the most important part. Safety. And I would like to add to this that the Public Safety Committee has had a chance to review this twice since the complaints have come to light, and it's still not resolved. This is something that to me is paramount, that should be on the table right away when those concerns came forward, because it is dangerous. We need to correct it as soon as possible. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Dennis?
Thank you. In regards to the speed zones and being on the chair of the Public Safety Committee, this is an issue about safety. Unfortunately, I was a witness to a student being hit in front of the high school, so I'm very concerned with the issue of speed in the school zones. That being said, the issue is currently being reviewed by the Public Safety Committee, and I want to correct Councillor Robinson. It was sent to committee by council at the previous council meeting to review. The Public Safety Committee, as all decisions should be made, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. We established a time of 90 days, which will be up at the end of November. We have talked with the RCMP. We've talked to the school district in regards to comments from the general public and things like that as to impacts. The number of tickets have been written. The comments are coming back. So the Public Safety Committee is well aware of the issues being raised and the concerns of the specific areas. So we're doing our due diligence, and this will not be a knee-jerk reaction. From what I'm seeing, I don't see a change in the 30-kilometer speed in any of the zones. What I do see is potentially looking at the operation, whether it's a time frame within a specific day, whether it, for instance, be 8 to 8 or something like that, whether it be weekends off or whether it's summers off. That's certainly up for discussion. So I think we as a committee are doing our due diligence in listening to the school district of Mystery Lake and the concerns they're hearing or not hearing from the RCMP, from their perspective. So I think nobody's doing negligent here, and it's not a hurry-up decision to be made. I think that the proper thing to do is go through the process. Public Safety will report back to Council at the end of November with recommendations into the bylaw that may include some changes. So I think let the process take care of itself. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to be heading off to a break in about 3 minutes or so, just to let everybody know. Dennis, we'll start with you for the next question. Do you feel the City of Thompson is efficient in getting information out to its residents? If not, what suggestions do you have to improve it?
Well, as an organization, we can always do better in communicating with residents of Thompson. We've tried public meetings, we've tried neighborhood meetings, we've utilized technology by way of our webpage and Facebook. We've hired a communications officer to promote and assist with better communications. So I believe we're moving in the right direction. Is there more we can do? Absolutely. Every organization, every business wants to communicate with their customers, their residents, their ratepayers, and so I'd like to see us do that as well. But on the other hand, I also want to see the public engage us. We've had numerous meetings in the past with very low turnouts. Social media is an active, growing way to communicate with us, and I would see that growing as well. But I think communication is a two-way street. There's more that the City of Thompson can do in regards to getting our message out. We have the agendas on our webpage. We have the minutes on our webpage for free access to all residents of Thompson. So I think there are things that are working well. I think there are some things that aren't working as well as we'd want them to do, and I think there's new initiatives that we can probably look at in regards to improving communications with the ratepayers of Thompson.
All right. And Luke, what would you like to see?
Thank you, Sue. First of all, to answer the question, I do not believe the City of Thompson is being efficient. Actually, whether it's a hot button issue or not, clear and adequate messaging should be out there all the time for all the public to see. Examples of that is the water rate study. There was one little blurb in the paper, and we had a nice big blackboard at the front of our building that said nothing to the effect that there would be a public hearing to that effect, so people could come and voice their opinions. The damp housing next door here was another typical example that the stakeholders in the area here were not notified till a very short time before the meeting came into effect to talk about that. So to me, it always seems to have been, if it's a hot button, let's not talk about it. My opponent speaks about low turnout. Low turnout is exactly what it is because people aren't being informed ahead of time. People are not getting the opportunity to speak their minds ahead of time. When it comes to discussions at council meeting when a resolution is about to take place, general inquiries is something that I push forward for to have and is now finally there. 10 minutes in my mind is not enough, but it's a start. We have to start somewhere. People have to have the opportunity to speak. When they find out what's going on, their doors shouldn't be closed. The processes should be clear. If somebody comes to City Hall and asks, what's the process I need to follow if I want to file a petition, they should be informed correctly and made sure that they are doing due diligence on their part so that they can go and petition properly. So the petitions are respected and accepted for what they are, not being given false information or, well, they didn't ask the question. I'm sorry. We should be forthcoming as a council. We should be forthcoming as a city to ensure that everyone gets the same information. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, and after the commercials, we'll be right back.
We will return momentarily to the Mayoral Candidates Forum on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
The next Lotto 649 jackpot is an estimated $13 million, plus the guaranteed $1 million prize every draw. What would life be like if you won Lotto 649?
Start my own business and live my dream.
Buy a farm and I build a go-kart track.
Security and comfort.
I'm just gone fishing.
Welcome to Cloud 649. The next jackpot is an estimated $13 million, plus the guaranteed $1 million prize every draw. Please play responsibly.
Over 50 years in the trucking industry doesn't happen by mistake. Reliable, on-time delivery is the reason behind the success of Manitoulin Transport. They're looking for Class 1 drivers in Thompson, Manitoba, with a $2,500 signing bonus for qualified applicants and all the training and career development programs to help you get there. For more info, call Chris at 204-805-1966. That's 204-805-1966. Manitoulin Group of Companies. Get the rewards you deserve.
Start your morning with McDonald's perfect pairing of an Egg McMuffin and hot...
Air balloon.
No, hot McCafe latte. Made with a fresh cracked egg and 290...
Nunchucks?
290 calories. The Egg McMuffin paired with the fresh...
Potpourri.
Fresh ground espresso of a hot McCafe latte is the perfect way to complement your...
Mustache.
Breakfast. After all, it's great when two things complete each other, so...
Perfectly?
Yeah, perfectly. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Breakfast starts at 4 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants.
Now, Arctic Radio weather on 102.9 CHTM.
This weather is brought to you by Chicken Chef. They have cabbage rolls and chicken on their buffet today. Their sandwich special is a fried egg and cheese sandwich with chicken noodle soup. If you aren't quite sure what to do for dinner, you might want to try their 10-piece chicken dinner special. The number to call is 204-677-2331 for takeout or delivery. Right here in Thompson, we are partly cloudy this morning. We're up at +7 with the wind west at 4 kilometers an hour. For today, we're going to be seeing the skies clear up as we get towards noon with a high of 14. Tonight, a few clouds with increasing cloudiness after midnight and a low of +4. Thursday, we'll be seeing some rain, about 5 to 10 millimeters falling down with the wind northeast at 30 kilometers an hour and the temperature falling to +2 for the afternoon. Friday will be a mix of sun and cloud with a 30% chance of flurries, a high of +2 and a low of -1. Saturday will be sunny with a high of +2 and a low of -5. And then Sunday we'll be seeing periods of snow or rain with a high of +4 and a low of +1. Taking a quick look around the province, Flin Flon and Snow Lake are at +6. The Paw is at +7. Grand Rapids is up at 10. We have Gillam, Leaf Rapids, and Lynn Lake at +3. Churchill is at +1. Swan River, Norway House, and Brandon are at +9. Dauphin is at 13, and Winnipeg is at 11. Back here in Thompson, we're partly cloudy this morning. We're up at +7 with the wind west at 4 kilometers an hour. You can get your weather details, community events, and more at thompsononline.ca.
Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
All right, welcome back to the forum, and we are back to the questions. We're going to start with Luke. And Luke, the question is this. The City of Thompson, with Valley's contribution to Tedwig, intends to proceed with branding using outside marketing firms. Exactly how much is this going to cost the taxpayers to rebrand? And is this branding initiative really necessary and best use of taxpayers' dollars?
Thank you, Sue, for that question. First of all, we can't afford to rebrand a community right now. Secondly, the brand that was chosen is already owned by another community. So that pretty well puts a big hiatus on this system. We have bigger issues to contend with. Now, I understand that the rebranding of the city was initially to lower the crime severity index, that we are very high on the list. I don't believe that changing our logo is what's going to change the crime in our community. Behavior is what changes crime in our community. Ensuring that the bylaws are followed, ensuring that our mandate for the RCMP's vote. That's how we reduce crime. But as for rebranding, it's unfortunate that the homework wasn't done on this, and actually I come across it by accident, that another community already owns it. So unfortunately we can't follow through with it right now. Thank you.
All right, Dennis.
Well, again, following the theme of misinformation and untruths, the other community, which is the PAW, has a logo that's similar in nature to what's been proposed as the new brand for Thompson. It doesn't preclude the City of Thompson from doing anything, so I'm not sure where this ownership issue precludes the process. We went through a rebranding process through the Tedwig model, and all of council was involved in that. They came back with a number of proposals at various price points in regards to how to roll this out. There was a high, medium, and low, and council at the time had discussed that and certainly recognized the fiscal restraints that we were under at the time, and so we didn't move forward with it at this point, other than to say that this is the potential, and part of that was the hiring of the communications officer. We were doing that in regards to communicating within the City of Thompson. The current brand was developed in the mid-70s, and so we are like any other organization or business looking at rebranding. Hydro's done it, MTS has done it, Valet's done it, Calmair's done it. So it's just a natural process of business. Can we afford the extent of rebranding that's been proposed? Probably not, but I think we still have to look at it. The link between branding and the crime severity index, I don't understand Councillor Robinson's comparison. That has nothing to do, one has nothing to do with the other in regards to a branding of a corporation. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right, and so we did mention the crime severity index, whether it was related to that or not. So Dennis, we'll start with you. It said Thompson did not top the crime severity index this last time around. What do you feel is needed to keep us on this track?
Well, I think the crime severity index, and just so people understand, that's a statistical tool used by Public Safety Canada and the RCMP to look at severe crimes within communities, and it's based on populations. So of course we're in the 10,000 plus range of communities. We're not compared to City of Winnipeg, who is a large center. There's a number of indicators within that in regards to what drives the numbers. For us, the decrease in our CSI, Crime Severity Index numbers, attributes to a number of things. One that I'll go directly to is the downtown strategy that we've had over the last 4 years. Two of the drivers in the CSI are domestic violence and public nuisance and those types of occurrences. Those numbers have decreased over the last 4 years, and we have the stats to back that up, and the CSI index, our lowering, also proves that point. Unfortunately, we went through a period of time, and this is not just Thompson. It can happen anywhere in Canada, anywhere in the world. But if a murder happens, that is a major driver. It's a major crime, and that will drive your CSI index up. It's not something that's preventable in the sense of being able to put something in place that creates a homicide, or that doesn't create a homicide. So I think on those areas that drive the CSI that we can have impact on, we have impacted on through the downtown strategy. We'll continue to do that. I see us continuing moving that direction. But the reality of it is the way the tool is set up, the way the crime severity index is set up, unfortunately, because of our population base, because of the nature of our caseloads, we will probably never be out of the top 10. But to say that we are no longer the number one, that's a major step in moving forward in what we're doing with social policy within the City of Thompson.
All right. And Luke?
Thank you for that question, Sue. First of all, I'd like to raised the point about standards. We have to ensure that we raise our standards in our community, including, for example, hanging shoes from power lines. It is a known fact that drugs are sold in the area. That's what it identifies. So as a community, we need to ensure that when we see those shoes hanging, we should be cutting them down immediately, telling those organizations that are living in our community that is not acceptable. We don't accept that here. Simple things that we need to do. Look out for each other. You see somebody in distress, help them out. Don't look the other way. Don't walk around somebody. Help them. We can do this. We are an extended family. Communities are extended families. We live together. We work together. We do things. Our children go to school. We're all one large family. So that's how we begin. That's how we start. By doing those things, those simple little things will add up to a bigger picture. That's how we can reduce the crime severity index. Like Dennis said, we will never probably eliminate the fact that we can be high on the list. But we can do our part. Every member of the community, you can do your part to ensure that we try and lower it as much as possible. Domestic violence is always a problem. Let's help our neighbors. Let's help them out. Talk, listen. If somebody comes to you and they have issues, if you see somebody is distressed, and don't be afraid to step forward and say, is everything okay? Is there anything I can do? Let's help each other out. Let's make sure that we are a functioning family. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we'll have time for one more question before we head to another break. And it'll start with you, Luke. Now that UCN is complete, the TRCC is complete, and the student housing is complete, there's a lot of traffic being funneled through that area. Do you feel there is sufficient parking to accommodate the variety of events that go on there? If not, what would you like to see done to create more?
Okay, so thank you, Sue, for that question. And I do realize there's a lot of traffic funneled through there, including the fact that the Boreal Discovery Center is an ongoing project that will eventually grow into a larger project, which will also impact the amount of traffic going through there. So as for traffic, I believe that at some point in time we need to look at possibly making that a one-way direction, so traffic is always flowing freely at the beginning and at the end of any major event, so that if an emergency vehicle had to come into the area, that the traffic is already flowing and they can follow traffic and get and take care of the situation. As for parking, there is an agreement already in place with the UCN and the TRCC that at a major event, if there's outside of school hours, that the parking is supposed to be made available to all constituents to be able to use the facility so that there is adequate parking. As for other parking, other avenues are, I would encourage, we have a transit system that runs on a regular basis. If people would feel more comfortable taking transit, it's already a warm venue to take. In the wintertime, you don't have to worry about parking your vehicle and going out and starting your vehicle again after a hockey game, for example. And it's available. If we need to stretch our hours during a major public event, that avenue is available for the public, let's look at that. There's different avenues we can follow here to try and make it more suitable for everyone and ensure safety, always safety in mind, and that things are feasible. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Dennis?
Well, I think it's a good issue to have. It's a question of capacity. We've had a lot of development in that area. And there are some learning curves on all parts in regards to TRCC, UCN, the high school, and others in regards to events and how parking is utilized. So I think there's a learning curve there. I think that probably down the road we'll see an expansion of actual parking spaces. But I also want to speak to the point that Councillor Robinson spoke to in regards to traffic flow. And this is one of the aspects of the community safety officers that we can utilize. In Winnipeg, they call them cadets. And when they have a major event, for instance, a Jets game at the MTS Center, the cadets are out there helping traffic to move traffic on and off of Portage Avenue and get 15,000 people out of the building. Once we have the CSO program in place, that's one of the things that our people can do, is assist. We have 2 entrances to the UCN TRCC properties. During special events, we may be able to utilize the CSOs to direct traffic and get people in and out of the facility quicker. So I think overall it's a positive issue to have, in that it shows that we're busy and we're growing. There's a learning curve on all parts to be had, but there's also some solutions to that as well.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to head to a quick break, and we'll be back after this break.
We will return momentarily to the Mayoral Candidates Forum on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
Jimmy the Janitor is brought to you by Riverview Restaurant. Their new breakfast includes a 2-egg any-style combo with toast for only $3.95, the buffet for only $9.95, and coffee, tea, juice, and milk for only $1.50.
Jimmy the Janitor Live.
Oh, I tell you, kids say the darndest things, boy, and they're pretty smart about it, too. Like a little advice here from Emily. When your mom is mad at your dad, don't let her brush your hair. Or a very scratched up Alan told his doctor, never hold a dustbuster and a cat at the same time. 4-year-old Eva and her mother was at the church, and the minister said, without the Lord, we are but dust. Eva leaned over and said, Mom, what's butt dust? And her final words of wisdom come from little Leslie, who said, love is when a girl puts on perfume and a boy puts on shaving cologne and they go out and smell each other.
Looking for a great night of comedy in your community? Invite Jimmy at jimmythejanitor.com.
Jimmy the Janitor is brought to you by Riverview Restaurant. Get the breakfast you want at the price you want to pay. Eat in and enjoy while watching highlights on the big screen, or get express takeout and take your meal to go. They're now open for breakfast from 7 a.m. until 10 a.m. Monday to Friday, and for brunch on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
No carb diets, all fruit meal plans, cardio workouts, circuit training. With so many options out there, how can you possibly know which one is right for you?
Look, I've played some tough rooms before, but this is ridiculous.
Now all you have to do to get into shape is listen to the radio. Every day at 4:30 p.m., LeBand Fitness's Mitch Nicholas will offer you daily health tips and workout tricks that'll transform your lackluster regimen into a calorie-burning, muscle-toning program. Just listen every day for Healthy Living with LeBand.
Feel the burn, baby.
Healthy Living with LeBand, brought to you by LeBand Fitness, only on your radio station, 102.9 CHTM. This is 102.9 CHTM's Radio Classified, a quick and easy way to get the names and numbers of your favorite businesses.
Initialize sequence. The West Center can help you prepare if you are entering into a trade, preparing to write your interprovincial exam in trades, or if you are working through your trade levels or your Red Seal. The West Center, supporting people progressing through trade levels. Call 677-7853.
Initialize sequence. Enjoy the world's tastiest food from the Chillax food truck. They offer East Indian specials as well as catering. They're open Thursdays and Fridays 5 to 9:30 and Saturdays from 3 until 9:30 in the Westwood Mall parking lot. Just call 204-679-7145.
Got something to sell or services to provide? Be part of 102.9 CHTM's Radio Classified. Call sales consultants Dave Moore or Lita Biglow at 204-778-7361. That's 204-778-7361.
Hi, I'm Chris from Speedy Glass. Winter is just around the corner, and our fierce Thompson cold can turn those little chips in your windshield into huge cracks. Nobody wants to let in a wintry breeze, so be sure to stop by Speedy Glass Thompson to get your stone chip repairs repaired while there's still time. Plus, with the proper glass coverage, your stone chip repair will be at no cost to you. Call Speedy Glass in Thompson now at 204-778-7048 to book your appointment.
Coverage depends on provincial legislation and your insurance coverage. Contact your insurance provider for details.
Hi, I'm Chris from Speedy Glass. Winter is just around the corner, and our fierce Thompson cold can turn those little chips in your windshield into huge cracks. Nobody wants to let in a wintry breeze, so be sure to stop by Speedy Glass Thompson to get your stone chip repairs repaired while there's still time. Plus, with the proper glass coverage, your stone chip repair will be at no cost to you. Call Speedy Glass and Thompson now at 204-778-7048 to book your appointment.
Coverage depends on provincial legislation and your insurance coverage. Contact your insurance provider for details.
Welcome back to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio, 102.9 CHTM.
All right, this is our last session here for the Mayor's Candidates Forum here on 102.9 CHTM. We have time for a couple more questions and then closing remarks. All right, so we're going to start with you, Dennis, on this question. What has either councillor accomplished for Thompson in the last 4 years? So what do you feel you've accomplished, Dennis?
Well, I think looking back at the 4 years, we were all faced with a major announcement by Valet in 2010, shortly after we were elected. So I think one of the things that I'm proud of is being part of that decision not to panic and to move forward through the process in working through what the impact is, what's the long-term impact of it. One of the things I suggested and council adopted was that getting our debt under control, looking at the water treatment plant, and that we do not incur any new debentures. One of the things I'm most proud of is being chair of public safety for the last 4 years, and through that process, it's been trying. We've gone through a number of issues to deal with that have been hotly debated at the council table. But I think at the end of the day, we've kept the ball rolling in regards to the downtown strategy, and the end result being the community safety officer, the legislation that was changed by the province of Manitoba, and I want to publicly thank Justice Minister Swan for that movement in moving that forward and getting us beyond just the enforcement aspect and providing us a larger opportunity to deal with the downtown strategy. I think that my voting record over the last 4 years has been progressive. I've strongly supported UCN housing on campus. I was a student who lived at the U of S in Saskatoon in student housing, so I strongly supported that. I was glad to see that, and I want to see an expansion of housing in that area for students who have the accessibility to university and childcare and housing all in the same place. I think the momentum of this community, there's a lot of things positively happening, and I think that those are some of the highlights that I'll take.
All right, thank you. And Luke?
Thank you, Sue. I'm very thankful this person out there that asked this question. It's a very important question. First of all, I was very grateful that I was elected to be on this council. Being a newcomer to the community at the time, I felt I had the public support, that they wanted me to ask the questions and do the research, which I proudly have done throughout my 4-year term in office. Through my term of office, I've also been acclaimed board member of the AMM, which is Association of Manitoba Municipalities, which represents the north here, which is all our eastern northern communities from Thompson all the way to Churchill. I've spoken on everyone's behalf. I brought issues to the table at the AMM, which a lot of those issues have been dealt with. I've also brought debate to the table, which a lot of my constituents felt the same as I did, that there was a lot of yes, 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 not enough questions, not enough debate and discussion around the table, and I'm proud, very proud that I brought that to the table. I'm also very proud that my family has been a very big support throughout all of this. I have had good support from certain members of council, Judy Collada and Stella Locker. My hat goes off to these two ladies. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. They've been a great support, and I kept forging forward, even with the pitfalls, even with the public embarrassment that this council has tried to do by slandering my good name. I still followed through, and I still fought for the people I represent. To me, that is the most important thing that any member of council should do, is always remember, I don't work for me. I work for all my constituents, and that is what this is all about. So I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And we'll let you go into your closing remarks, Luke. Maybe that was a little bit of them, but you have time for your closing remarks, and then we'll go to Dennis, and then we'll be wrapping up.
Okay, thank you very much, Sue, and I would like to thank Jen and Paul also for being here today, and for Dennis to be here to also answer questions that people have and concerns. And I would like to thank the public at large. But you know what? I'm going to use these minutes to speak more about Stella Locker. Stella Locker has been a sound person representing this community for the past 25 years. Stella Locker, thank you so much for having represented the public that we all represent. Standing your ground, even if you were standing there alone, which I was told that you nicknamed Stand Alone Stella. Thank you for that. You're great. You're an inspiration to myself and to many others. It saddened me to see that you decided to retire, and I can respect that. You have done your part for this community. Bravo. Excellent job. I hope the best for you, and I hope that throughout the next 4 years, if I'm elected mayor, that I can come to you with any questions or concerns that I may have, and you can be more light for me when it comes to maybe some dark moments where I may feel despair, or I may feel that I don't have the answers, and you've always been a good resource. Thank you very much. And on October 22nd, I will be looking for your support, as many others out there that have the opportunity to vote on October 22nd. Please vote for me, Luke Robinson, for mayor. Thank you very much.
All right. And Dennis.
Thank you. And I want to echo Luke's words in regards to thanking the Arctic Radio and everyone here in regards to the public debate. I'd like to thank all the listeners out there who have submitted their questions. Debates are part of democracy, and an excellent tool in deciding who you want to be your next mayor, councillor, or trustee. So I thank everyone for their commitment, and for Luke for participating in the debates. As a closing remark, I just want to speak a little bit about myself in regards to who I am, in regards to a committed individual to this community. I've been here many years. I've raised my family here, and I've invested in this community. I'm a part of this community, and I'm a very optimistic person, and I'm always the half-full type of guy. And so I see a lot of momentum that's happened in the last 4 to 8 years from this council and previous councils. I look at continuing that momentum, specifically in the infrastructure renewal that you've all seen this summer in regards to the water main renewal on Thompson Drive and on Cree Road. I want to continue that momentum of that. I think we've started a good renewal program here that we would be envious of by other communities, because we have been able to fund this without going to the taxpayer in regards to property tax. On property taxes, I believe in fair taxation. I believe in services for your taxation, and so I would look at maintaining those services by looking at a rate of inflation regarding taxes. I think that if you lose to inflation, you're losing investment, and you're losing the ability to keep that ball rolling as we have. I think that basically this community has a huge potential in regards to the next 5, 10, 15 years, and I want to be part of that potential and be part of the decision-making process. So I look forward to the challenge, and I look forward to your support on October 22nd, and hope to see you as the next mayor of the City of Thompson. Thanks again.
On behalf of 102.9 CHTM, I'd like to thank our candidates, Luke Robinson and Dennis Fenske, for participating in today's forum. And I'd like to thank the listeners again who submitted questions for the forum. I'm sorry if we couldn't get to all of them. We really did try. And so now that you have more information on where the candidates stand on the issues affecting Thompson, I encourage you to exercise your right to vote next Wednesday, October 22nd. For 102.9 CHTM, I'm Sue O'Brien.
Thank you for listening to the Mayoral Candidates Forum between Dennis Fenske and Luke Robinson on your radio.